welcome back to the Cyber Resilience Brief, a Safe Breach podcast. I'm your host, Tova Doran.
And I'm Adrian Cully.
We've spent the last 3 episodes talking about industrial-scale infrastructure attacks and the shadow bureaucracy of the Iranian regime. But today, it's not business, it's personal.
This is where the technical exploits take a backseat to the psychological ones, social engineering. We all have cognitive biases. There are over 100 of them, well documented and researched, and hackers and intelligence officers are very skilled in manipulating them. We're specifically looking here at APT42, also known as Charming Kitten or Mint Sandstorm. These guys aren't just hackers, they're digital con artists.
Right, and these powerful digital con artists are now using a powerful new tool that we're all familiar with, our good friend generative AI.
Yeah, it's a total game changer, Tova. They've gone from sending average phishing emails to building months-long AI-powered relationships with their targets before they even show a single malicious link. Everything is dual use, and sadly we can no more prevent AI from being used maliciously than we can make water not wet.
Yikes. So Adrian, let's break down the playbook that these threat actors use. Let's start with Charming Kitten. They don't just blast out 1,000 emails, do they? What do they actually do?
No, these are incredibly targeted. They focus on journalists, academic researchers, and political figures. Anyone who might have access to high-level policy data or internal regime dissidents.
I understand that they actually impersonate journalists as well.
Exactly that. They'll spend weeks posing as a reporter from the Washington Post or the Economist. Both suffered from this in the past year. They'll send you a perfectly written invitation to be an expert guest on a podcast or to review a draft paper. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, if it's deeply flattering, then it's almost certainly not genuine. There's no malware in the first 10 emails. It's all about building rapport, pushing your buttons.
Yeah, well, as a former journalist, color me impressed, or offended, or both. But anyway, that's where the AI comes in for 2026. It's all about building that rapport, and in a way that looks genuine.
Yeah, in the past you might have spotted a weird phrase or something that just didn't ring true in the use of language, a slight grammatical error that gave them away. Not anymore. They're using large language models to write hyper-realistic, idiomatic English, Hebrew and Arabic.
But it's not just text anymore, so if you're looking for that telltale en-dash, you might not find it. We're seeing at least one case as of late 2025 involving a deepfake voice note.
This really is chilling. An academic in London was engaged by a persona claiming to be a colleague. When the academic was sceptical, the attacker sent a WhatsApp voice note. It sounded exactly like his colleague, cloned from a 3-minute YouTube clip of a lecture. Actually, I'm not teaching people bad things, but if you've got access to the correct tools, you only need 15 words to make anybody's voice say anything, is the current state of the art. The voice note was the hook that convinced the target to click the invitation link, which was, of course, a credential harvester.
Wow. This takes our reminders in past episodes not to answer strange phone calls to a whole nother level. Adrian, what would you advise people do in such a case when it comes to voice notes? Because that's much harder to spot.
Absolutely. So, first off is, if it's unsolicited and unexpected, or never ever take action, including clicking on a link, without verifying via another channel. If you get a WhatsApp voice note, send them an email, ring them, use Telegraph or Signal. Use a different channel to say, is this you? First off. Secondly, it's a very good practice for all of us now. Friends and family, have a friends and family safe word. That if anything ever arises that's a sensitive circumstance, only your friends and family know this word or phrase, and you can then ask for that phrase. An attacker will not know that. They'll come up with all sorts of reasons why they don't know it, but you should know straight away, hang on, that's not right. I'm going to give you a ring and check this. And we've all got to look after ourselves here, because this is the state of the art and the level of sophistication that these attacks have reached. And we can't be giving anybody the benefit of the doubt anymore. No more benefit of the doubt. Trust, but verify.
Thank you, Adrian. Now, not to be political, but if we're talking about state-of-the-art infiltration, we can't avoid talking about the 2024 US elections. This was a massive moment for Iranian state actors.
It was, Tova, and they delivered a masterclass in the hack and leak. The IRGC-linked group Mint Sandstorm, a variant of Charming Kitten, successfully breached the personal email of a high-ranking official in the Trump campaign.
And they didn't do it with a zero-day exploit.
No, if you ever get hit with a true zero-day exploit, you should be very flattered, because somebody somewhere deeply loves you. They're very expensive. They don't have to do that. This is how alarming it is. What they did was they used a compromised Hotmail account of a former advisor to then send a spear phishing email. By spear phishing, we mean highly targeted. It looked like a legitimate internal forward. Once they were in, they spent weeks quietly exfiltrating data, including a 271-page vetting document on the vice presidential nominee.
And we'll be right back.
Wow. I mean, of course, I do have to say, if anyone is still receiving a Hotmail, one, I want to know who's still using Hotmail, and two, that's automatically suspicious. But I digress. Then afterwards, I understand they tried to leak this vetting document and all the other information they gleaned to the press just to sow chaos.
Disruption, exactly. Hybrid of cyber espionage and information warfare. They aren't just looking for secrets, they're looking for leverage. As we move into 2026, it's becoming clear that they're perfecting this technique. They use AI to quickly scan thousands of stolen emails for scandalous keywords to find the best material for a leak in record time.
Wow, this is a nightmare scenario for any security team in any industry. If the breach starts with a human being fooled by a deepfake, what can we do technologically to stop that?
Well, sadly, as we're all aware, you can't patch a human brain, but we can validate the path that opens up in the IT systems once the human makes a mistake, and we're all capable of making mistakes. This is where adversarial exposure validation is critical.
Okay, so when we talk about AEV, we always talk about simulations. Can you walk us through what a simulation might look like in this case?
So let's stick with Charming Kitten, and a Charming Kitten actor successfully phishes one of your executives using an artificial intelligence generated lure. They now have initial access. At SafeBreach, our playbook includes simulators for what happens next.
Right, so that means credential harvesting and other techniques.
Exactly. We simulate the fake Office 365 or Google login pages that Charming Kitten uses. We check, does your URL filter catch the suspicious domain? But even if it doesn't, we look at the MFA bypass. We know they're masters of MFA fatigue, spamming your phone with prompts until you hit approve.
So SafeBreach and other AEV providers will test if your identity provider is configured to resist that.
Yes, but just to stress, we're validating your security controls. We're not anti-phishing training, testing the individual users. We're testing your controls at scale, at enterprise level. And then we move to the cloud. Once they have that session token, they're going to go into your OneDrive, your SharePoint, your Outlook. SafeBreach Validate runs these simulations continuously. We don't just ask, can they get in? We ask, can they stay in? And can they move from the executive's personal email into the corporate database?
It's about assuming that the human will fail and making sure that the system doesn't fail.
Exactly that. Humans will fail. We all will at some point. If you know that Charming Kitten loves to use sponsor or Bella Ciao malware variants, you can run these simulations every single morning. If your EDR isn't flagging the behaviour of those specific backdoors, you're exposed. Behavioural detection is really important because the actual underlying code will shift and change. Behaviours are a very strong indicator.
Okay. Looking at the horizon for the rest of 2026, we're anticipating a surge of mobile surveillance activity from Domestic Kitten. Can you tell us a little more about that?
So this is the darker side of their work, Tova. They're using custom Android spyware to target dissidents and diaspora groups. They're getting into Telegram and Signal, not by hacking the apps, but by compromising the physical devices.
Right, and AI is increasingly getting agentic. It's getting semi-autonomous. It's moving on its own.
Exactly that. We're seeing semi-autonomous AI agents that can carry on these phishing conversations at scale. One Iranian operative can now manage 100 long cons all at once.
It's a social engineering sweatshop.
Exactly that. The scale is frightening. It means the volume of sophisticated threats is going to explode. It is exploding as we speak. The shadow war is here, as we've recently talked about. You can't rely on manual red teaming anymore. You need continuous automated red teaming to match that scale.
In other words, all these kittens have claws and they've learned how to speak our language.
Yes, but remember, every relationship they build still leaves a digital footprint. It's why they're so keen on wipers. If you're validating your environment continuously, you will see those footprints before they get to the crown jewels.
Okay, well that's all the time we have today for this episode. Join us for our next episode in the Iranian Threat Actor series, where we dive into more recent events that may have near-term impact on the Middle East and beyond.
We're talking about the June 2025 escalation in our next episode between Israel and Iran, the 12-day cyber war that changed the playbook for everyone.
But until next time, stay safe with SafeBreach.
Thank you.
The Cyber Resilience Brief is a SafeBreach podcast. Executive produced by Adrian Cully and Tova Devorin. Music produced by Sar Dressner. hosted, edited, and compiled on Riverside. For more about Safe Breach and how you can validate your security controls across your entire IT infrastructure, visit us at www.safebreach.com. That's www.safebreach.com.